On this week's Echodrops, we have Jeff Kroom. Jeff, for everyday users, what's the most practical thing we should know about keeping ourselves safe in an AI-driven world?
One of the things that we need to unlearn from everyone, and cybersecurity people have been leading the way on this, when we train people about how to look for phishing attacks. The email that says, I'm your bank and I need you to log in to verify your details, and it's not really your bank, it's a fake. And they're just going to harvest your login credentials. Well, those phishing emails, for the most part, the way we spot them and the way we've trained people to spot them is to look for bad grammar, bad spellings, these kinds of things. Just sloppy stuff, where someone who was a native speaker of that language wouldn't make those mistakes, or it's said in an unprofessional way. We need to unlearn that, because going forward, attackers will be able to use AI, generative AI, in order to create those emails, to write those emails, and they'll be written in perfect English with no spelling errors and in the most professional language. So that's not going to be a clue for us anymore. And if we're still looking for that to be a clue, then we're going to be tricked. Because we're going to say, well, the thing was worded perfectly, so it must have really been my bank. So we're going to have to look for other types of clues. In fact, the bottom line is we shouldn't be clicking into emails and logging in from those things anyway. You get an email from your bank that says, we need you to log in. Well, then you bookmark your bank's website in advance and then go there and log in that way. Another area that's particularly difficult that we're going to have to really educate the world on, because people are not ready for this yet, and that is the notion of deepfakes. So right now, you don't know if this is really me or not. It doesn't really matter in this case, because as long as I'm giving you the information that's useful to you, well, then everything's all good. But what if this was a AI-generated version of me, and it's saying things that I never said? That could be a problem if I'm your boss and I'm telling you I need you to wire a lot of money to a particular account, and you think you're talking to your boss and you're not. Well, you would follow those instructions and you'd be wrong. That's already happened. Well, there was one case where $35 million was wired because someone thought they were having an audio conversation with their boss. In another case, $25 million, where they were doing a video call with what they thought was the chief financial officer of a company. So this is not a hypothetical threat. This is in fact a real threat that we've already seen examples of. And now what we're going to have to do is make sure that people are aware of this threat, and they're going to know how to combat it. Here's the basic advice I'm giving folks. If you're not in the room, you didn't see it. That's how we have to think about this now. Now, since the pandemic, everybody had to get really comfortable with the idea of interacting with an on-screen version of someone. Video conferencing and all that kind of stuff became very, very common. But we're going to have to realize that while, if you and I are just having an information exchange, it's not a big deal if you were talking to a deep fake of me. But if I'm about to give you really sensitive information, then you need to communicate that through some other, what we refer to as out-of-band communication, some other means. So we start the conversation here, but then I send you the information on another platform through a secured channel. And we've seen already the use of this for grandparent scams, where it's a deep fake of a grandchild, calls up the grandparents and says, help, I've been in an auto accident, or I have been put in jail, or I just got robbed and I need you to send money. And of course, grandparents are going to do that. And by the way, this is not only for grandparents. This will happen to parents, to family, friends, but it's been typically called that because the grandparents are often the targets in these cases. So if you weren't in the room, then you didn't see it. It has got to be the new way we look at a lot of these things. And imagine video evidence in court. If we see a video of someone committing a crime, we have to start wondering, was that a real video, authentic video, or was that a deep fake? So a lot of problems, a lot of questions have to be answered. It doesn't mean that you worry about everything that you see online. I mean, you should be concerned about the veracity of the information you're seeing online, but it means whenever we get to the point where we're going to exchange sensitive information, then we need to move to a different level in terms of our skepticism and verification.